5 AITA stories that went way too far. Most people ask, am I the a-hole because they genuinely don't know? These people, they knew. In this video, you're about to hear 5 AITA stories where the line wasn't just crossed, it was ignored, justified, and defended. Story 1. AITA for breaking into my dead grandma's house. After she gave everything to a stranger, my grandma, a female in her mid-80s, passed away last year. Before anyone decides who I am as a person, I need to say this clearly. I loved her. I just didn't stop living my life for her. I had work, stress, obligations, things that didn't magically disappear because she was aging. That doesn't make me cruel. It makes me realistic. She lived alone and rejected help constantly. She didn't want nurses. She didn't want to move. She didn't want to be a burden. My family tried for years, but at some point you stop forcing yourself into someone's life when they keep pushing you out. You assume there will be more time. There wasn't. At the will reading, I expected something imperfect but fair. Instead, I found out she left everything to a complete stranger. Her house, her savings, her jewelry, over 400,000 euros. Gone, all of it, to a man named Martin. No letter, no explanation. Just a clean, legal will. I felt physically sick. We later learned she met Martin at a bus stop 6 months before she died. She dropped her groceries. He helped her carry them home. After that, he kept showing up. Coffee, errands, conversation. That's it. 6 months. 6 months was apparently enough to replace decades of family. I couldn't stop thinking about the past. Holidays, childhood memories, the things she used to say about keeping things in the family. None of that mattered anymore because a stranger was nicer at the end than we managed to be. I went to the house. Her house. He opened the door wearing her cardigan. I don't know how to explain how violating that felt. Like watching someone step into a role they didn't earn. He talked calmly about honoring her wishes, about how she wanted him to have a safe start in life. That's when I snapped. I told him he took advantage of her loneliness, that he knew exactly what he was doing. He looked offended, like I was the monster. The next day, while he was at work, I went back. I still had a spare key. She gave it to me years ago, back when I was family. I didn't vandalize anything. I didn't touch his personal stuff. I took what mattered to me: photo albums, heirloom jewelry, documents. I also took some cash she kept hidden because I couldn't stand the idea of him spending it like it was earned. I didn't do it for money. I did it because watching a stranger erase our family history felt unbearable. When he called the police, I was stunned. Suddenly, I'm the criminal. My family is split. Some say I went too far. Others agree it was wrong but think I should have handled it the right way. But here's what no one wants to say out loud. Lonely people don't always make clear choices. They make emotional ones. And the rest of us are left to deal with the damage. I don't regret what I did. I regret that being absent at the end somehow counts more than a lifetime before it. So tell me, am I really the a-hole for refusing to let a stranger replace an entire family just because he showed up last? Story 2. Am I the a-hole for being honest about my sister's baby when she asked me? I already know how this sounds, but please read before judging me. My sister, female 29, just had her first baby. Everyone in the family has been acting like this child is the second coming of Christ. Constant photos, constant praise, group chats blowing up every hour with the same blurry picture from a slightly different angle. I've been supportive. I showed up to the hospital. I brought gifts. I smiled. I congratulated her. But I also believe in honesty, and I don't think lying helps anyone. A few weeks after the baby was born, I was at my sister's place. She looked exhausted, emotional, and insecure, understandably. At one point, she asked me very directly, "Be honest. Do you think he's cute?" I paused. I didn't rush to answer because I knew people hate honesty when it's not flattering. But she asked. I didn't offer this opinion. I didn't blurt it out. She looked me in the eyes and said she wanted the truth. So I told her. I said calmly that I thought the baby looked average, that he wasn't ugly but not particularly cute either, that a lot of newborns look strange at first and usually grow into their features. I even tried to soften it by saying most babies aren't cute right away and that it doesn't mean anything long term. She didn't say anything at first, just stared at me. Then her face completely changed. She started crying, like really crying, the kind where people can't breathe properly. Suddenly, I'm the villain. She accused me of being cruel, of ruining something that was already hard, of tainting her experience as a new mother. She asked me how I could say something like that about her child. I reminded her, again, that she asked for honesty. That's when she said something that honestly pissed me off. She said, "Some thoughts don't need to be said." I disagree. If you only want compliments, don't ask for honesty. I'm not responsible for managing her emotions. I didn't insult the baby. I didn't call him ugly. I didn't say anything malicious. I gave a neutral, realistic answer, but that wasn't enough. Within hours, my mom was calling me, saying I broke my sister's heart. My aunt texted me that I should apologize. Even my dad said I could have just lied like a normal person. So now apparently lying is expected and honesty is treated like abuse. Here's where people are really going to hate me. Part of why this whole thing annoyed me is because my sister has always been the center of attention. Growing up, everything revolved around her emotions, her milestones, her feelings. Now she has a baby, and it's like the world is supposed to stop and worship her again. I didn't say that out loud, but it's true. She asked me because she wanted reassurance, not honesty. And when she didn't get the reassurance she wanted, she punished me for it. I still haven't apologized. I don't think I should. I didn't do anything wrong. I answered a question honestly, without cruelty, without yelling, without insults. People keep telling me, it's a baby. Exactly. It doesn't understand. This was about her feelings, not the child. I refuse to apologize for not lying just to protect someone from a feeling they invited. So tell me, am I really the a-hole for telling the truth when I was specifically asked for it? Story 3. Am I the a-hole for cutting off my son after he refused to live the life I paid for? I want to be clear from the start. I am not an absent parent. I did everything right. I paid for my son's education. I covered his rent. I helped with his car. I made sure he never struggled the way I did at his age. Every opportunity he has came from me choosing to sacrifice comfort so he could have a future. So yes, I expect something in return. My son, male 24, recently told me he's quitting the career path we agreed on, the one I paid for. Instead, he wants to find himself, move in with friends, and work a low-paying creative job with no stability, no plan, no safety net, just vibes. I told him I wouldn't support that. People keep acting like that's unreasonable. But I didn't invest tens of thousands of euros into his life so he could throw it away on a phase. I didn't work overtime and give up my own dreams just so he could reject everything I built for him. When I told him I was cutting off financial support if he went through with this, he accused me of being controlling. That hurt. I'm not controlling. I'm setting boundaries. He made his choice anyway, so I followed through with mine. I stopped paying his rent. I took back the car that's in my name. I canceled the credit card I gave him for emergencies, which apparently included takeout and concert tickets. I told him that adulthood means consequences. Now he's struggling. He's stressed. He's tired. He says he feels abandoned. My family says I'm being cruel. They say love shouldn't be conditional. But here's what no one wants to admit. Money is always conditional. Support is always conditional. You don't get unlimited resources while actively rejecting the values of the person providing them. What really bothers me is that he keeps saying he wants freedom, but still expects the benefits of the life I paid for. You can't have both. You don't get independence and dependence at the same time. Here's the part everyone conveniently ignores. While I was paying for everything, he never complained about control. He never said I was toxic when the rent was covered and the fridge was full. It only became a problem when I said no. And yes, I told him this directly. If he wants my support again, he can come back to the plan. Finish the path we agreed on, build a stable life. Then we'll talk. He called that manipulation. I call it accountability. I didn't cut him off because I don't love him. I cut him off because love doesn't mean funding self-destruction. If he wants to live like an adult, he can handle adulthood without my money. I raised him to succeed, not to wander. So tell me, am I really the a-hole for refusing to bankroll a life I don't believe in? Story 4. Am I really the a-hole for telling the truth about my friend in public so she'd finally stop lying? I'm already bracing myself for the judgment, but I need people to understand that I didn't do this out of cruelty. I did it because I was tired of pretending. I'm a female, 28. My friend is a female, 29. We've known each other for over 10 years. We grew up together. I've defended her when others judged her. I've listened to her cry, covered for her, and kept her secrets. But at some point, protecting someone turns into enabling them, and I decided I wasn't going to be part of that anymore. For the past year, she's been telling everyone that she got laid off from her job due to company restructuring. That's the story she repeats at every gathering. How unfair it was. How hard she worked. How she's just unlucky. That's not what happened. She was fired for repeated lateness, missed deadlines, ignoring written warnings. I know this because she told me herself, back when she still trusted me not to judge her. Since then, I've watched her build this fake narrative where she's the victim and everyone else is the problem. Friends sympathize, people offer help, they praise her resilience, and she just lets it happen. Last weekend, we were at a mutual friend's birthday dinner. About 10 people total, mostly late 20s and early 30s. Drinks flowing, stories being shared. A male friend, 31, brought up work, and of course the topic turned to her layoff. People started comforting her again, saying she deserved better, saying she'd bounce back. Something in me snapped. I didn't yell. I didn't insult her. I didn't make a scene. I just said calmly, "You weren't laid off. You were fired." The table went silent. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. I continued, because stopping at that point would have felt dishonest. I said I was tired of watching her lie to everyone and play the victim when she refuses to take responsibility for her own actions. I said if she wanted to move forward, she needed to stop rewriting the past. She started crying immediately, like full-on sobbing. A female friend, 27, moved to comfort her. Someone else told me to stop talking. Another friend asked me what the hell was wrong with me. I said I was just being honest. Later that night, she sent me a long message saying I humiliated her, destroyed her trust, and made her feel unsafe around me. She said she didn't lie. She just simplified the story because the truth was embarrassing. That's exactly my point. We're adults. Embarrassment isn't an excuse to lie and manipulate people's sympathy. If you don't want the truth to come out, don't build your identity on a fake story. Now everyone's acting like I committed some unforgivable crime. Friends have stopped inviting me out. People say I should have talked to her privately, but I already did, multiple times. She never changed. She just got better at lying. I didn't expose her to hurt her. I exposed her because I was done protecting behavior I don't respect. If she feels humiliated, maybe that's the consequence of lying in the first place. So tell me, am I really the a-hole for telling the truth when no one else would? Story 5. Am I the a-hole for testing my partner's loyalty without telling him? I know how the title sounds, but please hear me out before deciding I'm insane. I female, 27. My boyfriend male, 30. We've been together for almost 3 years. We live together. We talk about marriage. From the outside, we're solid. But something felt off. He's never cheated, at least not that I know of. But he's the type who's overly friendly, likes attention, likes being liked. And lately, he's been glued to his phone in a way he never used to be. Turning it face down, taking it to the bathroom, smiling at messages and saying, "Just work stuff." I tried talking to him about it. He laughed it off and told me I was overthinking. Said I was being insecure and that if I trusted him, I wouldn't question it. That answer didn't sit right with me, so I decided to get clarity. I asked a friend of mine, female 26, who he's never met, to message him on Instagram. She used a real account, real photos, nothing fake. She just followed him and replied to one of his stories. He followed her back immediately. At first it was harmless, light flirting, compliments. I told myself I'd stop if it crossed a line, but I also needed to know how far he'd go. Within 2 days, he was calling her dangerous, asking where she lived, complaining about how complicated relationships can be, saying things like, if I was single, that was enough for me, so I escalated it. I told my friend to suggest meeting for drinks. He didn't hesitate. He picked a bar, a time. He even lied and told me he was working late that night. That's when I showed up. I walked into the bar and saw him sitting there, nervous, checking his phone, waiting for another woman. When he saw me, his face went white. He immediately stood up and started apologizing, saying it wasn't what it looked like, saying he just wanted attention, saying he never planned to actually cheat. I lost it. I told him I set the whole thing up. I told him this was a loyalty test and that he failed it spectacularly. He got angry, angrier than I expected. He said what I did was manipulative, controlling, and a massive breach of trust. That felt ironic, because from my perspective, I just exposed what was already there. Here's where everyone turned on me. He told his friends. They called me toxic. My own friends said I went too far. They said I trapped him, that I orchestrated the situation, that it doesn't count because I created the temptation. But that makes no sense to me. Temptation exists everywhere. If he was loyal, he would have shut it down. Instead, he leaned into it. He flirted. He lied to me. He showed up. Now he says he doesn't know if he can trust me anymore. That honestly blows my mind. I didn't cheat. I didn't flirt with anyone. I didn't lie about where I was going. I just tested something I already felt was shaky. Yes, I planned it. Yes, I watched it unfold. But I needed the truth, and I got it. If he hadn't done anything wrong, there would have been nothing to catch. So tell me, am I really the a-hole for setting up a loyalty test when my gut was clearly right? Which story went way too far for you? Drop the number in the comments. And if you watched all the way to the end, drop a fire emoji. I'll see you in the next one.